It took 354 days and a little over 100 videos, and as of the 11th of July, this channel is now 1 year old with 2,000 subscribers. So for this very special video, I'm going to be beating a lot of challenges and answering some of your questions. But before that, here are some of the overall statistics of the channel in 1 year. Time to get to those challenges. Now, you guys were genuinely ruthless with some of these challenges, and I've had an incredibly stressful week, so I'll start with the easiest challenge. Jae-yong, but you can't use his super. This one's a lot harder than it looks. Jae-yong not being able to get his super naturally makes it obvious to know how important it is. Plus, his healing mode is my personal favorite between the two. Extra damage, good support, and great visuals, so this won't be very fun. Thankfully, the comment said nothing about Jae-yong's gadget, so I'll be using the damage one, and for this I'm going to be playing Brawl Ball. So I started off the match to a pretty solid start, with me using a gadget early. Then I immediately realized how rough this was going to be cause Jae-yong doesn't have a lot of health. Either way, we were able to score the first goal. I started prioritizing supporting my team and giving myself speed boosts with my main attack, but it's only getting harder to not die. But after some time we were able to win cause time ran out, and we were even able to secure some decent stats. Use the worst buster build in the game, including gears, and somehow win a game with that. Now for this challenge, I decided to do it in ranked for the off chance I got a good map for division gear, and we were actually able to get center stage. I've decided to ban Shelly simply because I have no way of defending her. So for this horrendous build, I went with Buster's utility belt gadget and his blockbuster star power. I chose vision gear cause it's not really good on close range brawlers, but this map is pretty solid with it. Then I chose the shield gear cause it sucks on tanks. Either way, our matchup still looks pretty painful. I started off the match trying to get my hypercharge as soon as possible, but the Chester made that pretty difficult. I immediately used my gadget to heal and to see what it actually does. Then I died to the Lumi because she was able to snipe me from the back. It looked like they were going to score, but we actually clutched that, but then the Chester broke all our walls. I stayed back with the Stu to get my super and push forward. Then I saw how completely useless this gadget is without teammates. We were able to save the ball again thanks to Buzz, then I got a ton of value from my super. We started pushing upwards in an attempt to score, but I completely forgot about my gadget, so I died. After a bunch of hypercharges were unleashed, we almost lost, but Buzz and I clutched again. Reason number 3.7 million why Buster is the best brawler in the game. Buzz really felt like the MVP here, and he took one for the team again, and we were actually able to win. But with winning the first round, I definitely had my hopes up about the rest of the game. I mean, at least we won one round, so I'm going to count it. This comment basically says to roast all Lumi mains, and judging by how I lost that game earlier to a Lumi, if you're a Lumi main, I'd advise you cover your ears. You know, the worst part about this brawler is trying to figure out if they actually take skill or they're incredibly boring to play. Her playstyle is incredibly tedious, and the only reason why she was at the top of the meta for so long is because the developers have no idea how to balance new brawlers. This one's a bit of a nitpick, but her voice lines sound terrible, and they make Meg's voice lines a lot more bearable, to be honest. Not to mention, she steals a bunch of gameplay elements from a bunch of brawlers, but that just seems to be a recent trend in new brawlers these days. To be honest, Lumi was never really that fun. She just did a stupid amount of damage with a very confusing playstyle. Pretend to be AFK in Duels, then win a 1v3. This was probably the most annoying to complete because it took so long and losing was very frustrating. This took around 3 hours to complete, and it's a good reminder of why I don't play Duels. Anyways, my team was RT, Willow, and Janet. RT and Willow are brawlers I rarely play, and I feel like I'm carried pretty well with Janet. In this match, I was facing Mandy, Dynamite, and Gus. This guy took his sweet time emoting and even entering the fog at one point, which was kinda annoying since it made the whole process longer. Anyways, with Janet, I camped in a bush waiting for his dynamite to appear, then I spammed the red button and killed him easily. Gus was a lot harder to kill and we struggled for a bit, but I still got him. Finally, never make me play Duels again. I couldn't really do some of the other cool challenges cause this video would have taken too long to release, but I plan to finish some of them in the future. Anyways, let's get to some of the questions. What actually made you start a YouTube channel? Did you just feel like it, or did you need a certain amount of skill before starting a channel? Well, I've actually tried many times to get somewhere on YouTube. I used to post videos on other games that I like to play, but with no success. But then I tried Brawl Stars since I actually really like the game a lot, and now we are here. I continue improving my editing style and try to keep all my videos fresh. And if you watched my first video, you'd know you don't need any skill to start a YouTube channel. Anyways, who was your previous main before Buster and what made you switch? Well, I think I've said this a few times before, but I was a really big Griff main. I had all his skins, he had the first mastery title I got, and I even bought his hypercharge pack even though I didn't get one for Buster. I tried to keep 3 mains at once so I have a good understanding of all the brawler archetypes. And right now my favorite brawlers are Buster, Griff and 8-bit. And Bell is a close 4th. Now for what made me switch is kinda complicated. I was looking for the face of the channel and I felt like I needed to pick a brawler that not many YouTubers used. I also wanted to pick a brawler that I felt I was pretty good at and was also really fun. So I took a wheel of my top 15 favorite brawlers and spun the wheel like 50 times. And Buster won by a really large margin. To think there's an alternate universe where I turn out to be a Carl main. So I've dedicated the past year to being the #1 Buster main on YouTube. And I'm pretty happy with that since he's genuinely my favorite brawler in the game. Anyways, this comment is a lot, but it mainly says what made you like Buster. Now I mentioned how he was in my top 15 favorite brawlers in the game, so I already liked Buster beforehand. And I'm pretty sure it boils down to how underrated he is. You hear a bunch of pro players singing his praises and giving him the credit where it's due, but most people just don't play Buster enough, which is pretty much why he's my favorite brawler. Popular brawlers like Mortis and Dynamite are loved by a large amount of people in the community. Thus, a lot of people who play them aren't that good and they get a lot of hate. But Buster can actually be played with like 3 brain cells and no one bats an eye cause no one plays Buster, which is why I don't get a lot of hate comments about my favorite brawler. Anyways, those were all the questions and this was the 1-year special of the Lemizlite YouTube channel. Let me know when you subscribed in the comment section below, and as usual, thanks for watching.